Greetings, loved ones. I'm excited about today. Today we're going to talk about trauma and restoring your faith. Help us get these messages out. Please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit the like button and the notification bell, and please share these messages with others. You never know. Just by doing so, you could save a life. So let's talk about trauma and restoring faith. All who have survived trauma, they know well the feeling of the broken spirit. The loss of faith that comes with having your belief system ripped out from under you. Faith is not a belief. Faith is what is left when your beliefs have all been blown to hell. That's a quote from Ram Dass. You know, all who have survived trauma, this broken spirit they have, the loss of faith that they have, their belief system ripped out from under them. You know, how can a trauma survivor come to a place where they can restore their faith? Our faith, it's built over time as we live and construct in our minds the things that we believe in. And trauma, they can shatter those beliefs in an instant. In her amazing book, Trauma in Recovery, Dr. Judith Herman, addresses the issue of faith. She says, traumatic events violate the victim's faith in a natural or divine order and cast the victim into a state of existential crisis. In other words, we begin to question everything we have come to know. Herman goes on to state the depth of this loss of faith. She says, in situations of terror, people spontaneously seek their first source of comfort and protection. Wounded soldiers, raped women, they cry for their mothers or they cry for God. And when this cry is not answered, the sense of basic trust is shattered. Traumatized people feel utterly abandoned, utterly alone, cast out of the human and divine systems of care and protection that sustain life. So let's restate that last sentence. They feel cast out of the human and divine systems of care and protection that sustain life. There's nothing more profoundly despairing than that feeling. To feel abandoned by the divine is a trauma in itself, and it leads to the disconnection that can be such a hallmark of PTSD. So how do we begin to rebuild our faith? I want you to understand it's important to distinguish between faith and belief. Beliefs are products of our minds, the decisions we've made, constructs we have formed to make sense of our world. We believe in God and certain people and certain relationships. Faith is a product of the Spirit. Faith is the abstract knowing that the divine is constant. And when there's a crack in that knowing, what can heal it? When there is a tear in the fabric of faith, what will mend it? After 9/11, there was a wonderful quote by Mr. Rogers going around, and his advice in extreme trauma was to look for the helpers. This is a start in restoring our faith. If you have survived a trauma, you were likely helped, if not immediately after, then soon after. Look at those helpers. Was it kind police officers, a calm and soft-voiced trauma nurse, or friends who came in the middle of the night without asking why you needed them? They just came. When you look back on all of that, it makes a few stitches in your torn faith. You can trust the goodness of those people, and they had faith in you that you would survive this. It was a start. So who were your helpers at the time of trauma? Who around you still holds you up? Psalm 34:18 says that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and rescues those who are crushed in spirit. Another way to restore your faith is to simply ask. Ask God to restore your faith. We can do nothing apart from God. We can't restore our own faith by ourselves. So sit in quietness. Sit in the garden. Sit in the solitude and ask. Gather with others and ask. God will begin to show you the constancy of love. God will lead you beside still waters and restore your soul. You'll begin to see examples of divine love that will make you smile, knowing it's another stitch in your torn faith. And the final step in restoring faith is through service. When you want to curl up in a ball and feel abandoned, take action instead. Get out of yourself and find a way to help others as soon as you feel able. It is a balm to your wound. Compassionate action opens the way for the light to return. Imagine a sky that is thick with gray clouds, except for one hole where the sunlight's breaking through. That is what service will do for your faith. It's an added byproduct of service, seeing your value in the world again. Sometimes trauma can leave us feeling powerless. Service restores our faith, not only in God, but in ourselves. Be inspired by these words from Walt Whitman. The question, O me, so sad, recurring, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists, and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you will contribute a verse. Despite your trauma, you will continue a verse, contribute a verse. It will be an act of faith, and it will alchemize your trauma into purposeful, compassionate action. You are beloved. With 1 in 3 women experiencing domestic violence worldwide and even more children witnessing violence, the question is not if you will encounter a victim of violence. The question before God is, what will you do when you do encounter them? You could be the person who saves a life. You are called. We are all called to be champions for justice. And those who suffer violence, they need to know that those who love them and those who don't even know them will reach out and step out to give them the help and the courage they need to leave before it's too late. Help us get these messages out. The whole purpose, as we come to the close of this series, is that those who are suffering violence can recognize it and also recognize they are not alone. That there's someone there to help them. There is a way out. It's not their fault. And that those who don't suffer violence, that they can recognize it in others and know what to do to help them. So please help us get these messages out. Subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit that like button and the notification bell and share these messages with others. You never know. Someone may watch one of these messages, or 2 or 3 or 4 of them, because you sent it to them, and you could be saving their life. If you're a victim of violence, listen to me now. You're valued, you are loved, you are intelligent, you are beautiful. God doesn't want you to suffer violence. He wants you to live free, in peace, in tranquility. You're not alone. There is a way out. It's not your fault. Abuse is not love. If you're a victim of violence, reach out to someone today. If you find yourself in a dangerous situation, call 911 for help. And if you know of a child who is suffering violence, tell the authorities. In our next episode, which is the last episode in the series for domestic violence, we will talk about the truth about who you really are in God's eyes. Until then, God bless you.